Hi guys, it's Deborah. Welcome to my channel. So in this video, I am kicking off 2023. We're like a sliver away by piggybacking on the World Carnivore Month Challenge, which happens every January. But what I'm going to do is not do carnivore, I'm going to do ketovore. And I'm also doing a 20-hour fast, 4-hour eating window every day. So that'll be my intermittent fasting protocol with this higher fat, moderate protein. I'm going to probably have like a ratio of between 70 and 80% fat and 20 to 30% protein, minimal carb, and some other things. I'm going to incorporate some very gut healing. That's my primary reason for doing it, is for healing my gut and to jump back on my weight loss, my weight loss journey. I still have about 26 pounds, probably more than that. I haven't gotten on the scale yet, from my alternate day fasting journey, which in 4 months I lost over 24 pounds. So I'm continuing on that, just a slightly different path, which is fine. But I'm super excited about the whole challenge, and I feel everywhere online, everybody's excited and everybody's like, I'm doing the carnivore challenge. Yeah. So it's really, it's, I feel the energy, and so I'm excited about doing it as well. So what I'm going to do in this video is kick off that challenge by making a huge pot of bone broth. So I've been making bone broth on and off for years. I have tweaked the recipe to like what I call, it's like phenomenal. And I have a little secret. Well, it's not a secret, but this little thing that I do, it makes the bone broth, it just ups the ante on the taste. It ups the ante on the color and just the appearance of it. Sometimes bone broth can just be like, it's very gelatinous. But anyway, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you step by step how I make my bone broth, and then and show you the finished product. It's an amazing way, whether you're doing carnivore challenge or the ketovore challenge, or you just want to like introduce some really gut friendly, nutritious, over the top nutritious product into your diet. So here it is, guys. Let's get going. Hi guys. Okay, so I'm getting ready to make my most amazing bone broth ever. Like I said, I've been making this recipe for years and years. There was a time I did a bone broth cleanse, I guess. I used to call it a fast, but now that I really know what fasting is, it's more like a cleanse. Anyways, I did that for 18 days, I believe. Yeah. And most amazing. And so over that challenge, I learned how to make bone broth like there's no tomorrow. Anyway, so I'm going to show you the ingredients that I use, and then I'm going to start preparing it, and I'll just walk you through the whole thing. So here I have my stock pot. I don't know how many quarts that is or how much liquid it holds, but it's fairly massive. I think it's your usual stock pot. So I fill that up to about here with water just to start, because after I roast the bones and they go in, they're going to fill this up. That's probably even a bit too much, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Here are my bones, my beef marrow bones. And I get my beef marrow bones from a local farm, where it's organic, grass-fed. So this is what it looks like. These are fairly big. So you want a good marrow bone for your bone broth. So I'm going to use another So I'll use this one and then 2 other bigger ones. So I'm going to roast those. Then I'm going to, I'm going to use all of these carrots. I usually only use 4 because I chop them pretty chunky, but I will peel these and chop them. And these vegetables are just for the flavor. Then I'm going to use about 4 stalks of this organic celery, and I'm going to use this onion. Now here's my special secret tip for an amazing bone broth. So I wash this onion as best I can with the skin on, and then, oops, we don't want to lose that precious. And then I quarter it. I'll show you when I'm doing it. I quarter it, and then I'm going to roast it in the Dutch oven with the bone marrow bones. And what happens is once it goes in the soup with these skins, it gets a most beautiful caramel color and a rich onion flavor. It just adds another level to this bone broth. So you can do it that way or not. So then I use, of course, Redmond's real salt. And I've never really measured my salt, but I would say I probably use about 2 tablespoons at the very least. And then I use about 1/4 cup of this apple cider vinegar. You want the organic with the mother. And I like about 2 to 3 bay leaves. I'll probably put 3 bay leaves. Gives it another layer of really rich flavor. All right, guys, so I'm going to prepare all my ingredients and I will show you. I'll be right back. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you what I'm doing at this stage. I have preheated my oven to 400. So while that's preheating, I've got my bone marrow bones in my Dutch oven. And what I do at this stage even is I just lightly salt my bones just because it's going to bring out some of the flavor. So here is my onion. I washed it really, really well. And then I've quartered it so you can see still all the little crinkly bits are on. And so I just place these in somewhat strategically because I want those skins to get nice and roasted. And yeah, so we'll put it in like that. So as soon as my oven is preheated, in goes my Dutch oven, and I roast these for about 20 minutes once the oven is good and hot. And then I'll show you what I do next. So I just got my bones in the oven and they've got about 20 minutes to go. So I'm just having some supper. And I thought I would just show you what I'm having. So first thing I did is I have this. This is what rises to the top of my bone broth when I put it in the fridge. And I usually reserve this for cooking. I mean, I'm just restarting this whole Ketovore thing, but it's all coming back to me. So what I did was I used that to cook these little bits of pork shoulder bites up, and they're so crispy. Oh my God, guys, this is like so good. This is one of my favorite Ketovore. And then I've got my eggs cooking in that fat. I'm not sure what's in that fat because it rises to the top from the bone broth, but I can tell you it is so divine. So what I'm going to do is flip these eggs in just a sec because I like the yolk runny, and then I dip my crispy pork bites into the yolk. Oh, I'll show you in just a sec. All right, guys, so I just wanted to show you how this has come out. Like, I know you can't even see or smell the amazingness of this, but what I do now is I just poke it in there, get some of, this is like perfectly cooked eggs for me, and then, so good. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go finish this. It's still hard for me to chew, but I try because this is my favorite Ketovore meal right here. It is just, I could live off this and Ketovore ice cream and bone broth. Legit. All right, so there are my bones out of the oven. I ended up at the 20-minute mark. I flipped them because they're really kind of awkward shaped. And then I roasted them for another 10 minutes. So they're not cooked, like not even close, but it gives it that nice roasted meat flavor in the bone broth, which I really love. So what I'm going to do is transfer them over to my pot, which I now have setting up to boil. But before I do that, I'm just going to add my apple cider vinegar. So that's not even a quarter of a cup. That's like an eighth of a cup, because I realized that I don't like too much. It's good. The purpose of the apple cider vinegar, it helps to bring out the minerals and balance the fats and some other interesting things that it does. So for my salt, I'm going to, I'm old school, so I think that's good. Maybe a little bit more. I always add more salt. So yeah, you can measure, what did I say? Something like, that's probably not even 2 tablespoons. Anyways, that's all good. So then I've got my, 4 or 5 carrots there, and I ended up using 3 stalks of the celery, and I'm going to leave the leaves in. So I'm going to add that to my stock pot there, and then I've got my 3 bay leaves. I couldn't find perfect ones, but that's okay. So there's that. And then I'm just going to transfer this stuff into my cooking pot. So there you have it, guys. I got my bones down at the bottom there. Made sure that they're all like touching the bottom. And all my other ingredients, which you saw. So what I'm going to do is let this come up to a full boil. And then I usually let it boil for about 5-10 minutes max. And then I turn it down to between 2 and 3, like 2.5 on this stove. Every stove is different, but I find right there it's a nice simmer. It's a soft rolling boil. And that's where I try to keep that for 12 hours. I do, by the time I go to sleep, I'll have figured out that sweet spot. And then I will put the lid on, cracked open, and let it simmer until the morning. Hi guys, so I'm just going to give you a quick update on my bone broth. It has been simmering for about 2 hours or so. So I'm going to do my last little adjustment, and then that'll be it until the morning. I just wanted to kind of show you where it's at, and then we'll pick up from here in the morning. Okay. So it's at that stage. You can see that that was where it started, that little line, and it's gone down. So it has evaporated quite a bit, but I like the way it's coming along. Oops, sorry. Everything is, you can see those roasted onion skins. And then by tomorrow, the color of this broth will be a lot more caramely colored. For some reason, this is not, I don't know if it's a couple of the bone pieces are just a bit, they're different cuts than I'm used to. I just like the straight up marrow bones. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see how this comes along. All right, it's the next morning, and I've turned off the heat. I was quite surprised this morning how much it had cooked down. So I don't know what I did. I thought the temperature was fairly low when I fell asleep, but it bubbled away. But what the result of that is that this broth is going to be super rich and all that. So I'm going to let it cool down a little bit more, and then I'll start the canning process. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm ready to start the canning process. Unfortunately, well, it's December 31st, 2022, and our water is not running. So let the shenanigans begin. I had a moment, and then I just realized, just make it work. Luckily, I have bottles of water, like filtered water that I buy. So anyway, we're going to just get this stuff. It's important to get the bones out and the broth in the jars. So there's all my jars. And then I'm going to make my bone broth latte with a little bit that's left over. So basically what I do is I get my colander and a bowl to catch the runoff, and then just try to skim as much liquid, and then just put everything in this colander. And then at the end, once everything is in the colander, there will be a bunch of broth on the bottom, and I just put that back in the pot because this is like liquid gold. All right, so I removed as many of the bones and bits that I could from the broth. What I'm going to do is I'm using my large Vitamix container to catch the liquid, and then I put this strainer, a finer strainer, because there are quite a bit chunks and different things still in the broth, bits of bone and all that. So that's the bits. Those are the bits that got drained. And I just put them off in there. And then you can see already that the fat is... All right, so I have my container, and I will just pour that in to about there. And then I'll do that. I probably need another big jar. So I'll grab one of my big jars, and then I'll keep some for that. So there you go, guys. So there you have it. Bone broth, homemade bone broth, the best you can ever have. Store-bought is great if you don't have access to marrow bones, but nothing beats homemade beef marrow bone broth. It's like liquid gold. All right, so I'm going to show you how to take your bone broth that you just made, and turn it into the most luscious, what I call my bone broth latte. And it's just an awesome way to just jazz up your bone broth, because you can drink it just straight like that. But I found upping the ante to the bone broth latte just makes it such a more pleasurable experience. And I'm going to show you how I do my bone broth latte. All right, so you will heat up your bone broth, and then I put it in my Vitamix. So one of my jars, I keep it comes out to be 2 cups. I don't know if you can see. 2 cups, and I believe that's maybe 10 ounces. And to me, that's the perfect serving size. I don't have the breakdown of the calories and the macros, but I know that for the higher fat, moderate protein ketovore trend that's happening right now, this is within that. But you'd have to put it into your own calorie, MyFitnessPal or whatever, to get your exact ratios. So We've got our bone broth nice and hot, not too hot. And then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of butter. So you've added your butter, and at this stage, depending on your taste, I add another little pinch of salt. But I'll show you the game changer once this is done. So don't forget your lid. And what I do is I just blend it on, sorry, it's going to be loud, just to get the froth, because the fats in the bone broth mixed with the butter makes it kind of like a creamy, makes it so creamy, like a latte. There we go. So I just did maybe 10 seconds on low and then 10 seconds on high. And it's so lush, so lush. And then I just used the jar. You could put this in a fancy cup or however you like it. And then when I lived on Vancouver Island, there were actually very boutique-y restaurants, and they had an actual bone broth latte, a bone broth bar, and you could go and get different flavors and different things to go on top. Now, what I do is I take some salt and I just sprinkle it on top. It's got that very bougie. And there you go, guys. Bone broth latte. It is divine. So I hope you enjoy your bone broth journey. Obviously, you just tweak it. You can tweak things as you go to make it for your own taste. And I hope that this video has helped you in some way. I'd appreciate if you hit like. And I'll be doing a lot more content around ketovore, intermittent fasting, all that kind of stuff. So hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.